Guys, Mark Zuckerberg is in major trouble. Facebook expects to face a massive fine of up to $5 billion from the Federal Trade Commission as the result of an investigation into its privacy policies. Once again, big data fails to protect its consumers' privacy, so why should we keep trusting them? Well, we shouldn't, and one way to fight back is by using a virtual private network to simply block your IP address from big data spying and tracking you. This month, Virtual Shield is offering a Memorial Day special of 35% off all VPN plans and all premium add-on plans, including Protection Plus, residential access, monthly maintenance, phone support, and VIP performance plans for as low as $3 per month. Plus, you can sign up for a free 30-day trial so that you can try Virtual Shield and see what the hype is about. You've got nothing to lose. You can sign up now for 35% off and 1 month free at my special website, www.virtualshield.com/redpill78. You're listening to Red Pill 78. I am the Corruption Detector, and this is your Red Pill News. Well, we had quite the day yesterday, didn't we, guys, with Robert Mueller contradicting himself, giving that strange and unrehearsed press conference in our nation's capital at the Department of Justice. Today, President Trump is not making any bones about it. He says that this could be the greatest achievement of his presidency, exposing this corruption, and I have to say, I tend to agree. President Trump addressed many subjects when he spoke to reporters at the White House Thursday morning as he departed for Colorado on his way to give the commencement address for the Air Force Academy graduation ceremony. I watched that this morning. It was very heartfelt. One subject that he mentioned twice was his hope that his exposure of the government corruption behind the Russia collusion hoax would be regarded as one of his greatest achievements. Trump recently authorized Attorney General William Barr to declassify documents involved in the Russia hoax, and we've got several video clips of him speaking this morning. Let's go ahead and take a listen.
I think he is a total conflicted person. I think Mueller is a true never-Trumper. He's somebody that dislikes Donald Trump. He's somebody that didn't get a job that he requested, that he wanted very badly, and then he was appointed. And despite that, and despite $40 million, 18 Trump haters, including people that work for Hillary Clinton and some of the worst human beings on earth, they got nothing. It's pretty amazing.
Some of the worst human beings on the face of the earth. You gotta love this guy, the way he speaks to these scumbags. Here's one more clip.
No, Russia did not help me get elected. You know who got me elected? You know who got me elected? I got me elected. Russia didn't help me at all. Russia, if anything, I think helped the other side. What you ought to ask is this. Do you think the media helped Hillary Clinton get elected? She didn't make it. But you take a look at collusion between Hillary Clinton and the media. You take a look at collusion between Hillary Clinton and Russia. She had more to do in the campaign with Russia than I did. I had nothing to do. And by the way, that's one other thing. If you look, this was all about Russia, Russia, Russia. They don't talk about Russia anymore because it turned out to be a hoax. It was all a hoax. And then they say, gee, he fought back. Isn't that terrible? He fought back. Of course I fight back because it was a false accusation, a totally false accusation. And it's a disgrace. And it's a very sad period for this country. And I think in the end, I will consider what's happening now to be one of my greatest achievements, exposing this corruption.
I think he's right. I think Donald Trump has been the only public official in the history of my life to stand up against corruption more than anyone else. All right. He has been solely the single voice of reason out there working his butt off, sacrificing his own life, his own business, his own family so that he can go out and lead this country and show America just who the perpetrators are. It's not Trump. It's not the Trump campaign. It's not the Trump family. It's nobody connected to him. This is clearly a single group of people, these disgusting coup plotters who don't care about the safety, the security, the future of our nation. Donald Trump will go down in history as the single greatest president we have ever had in America, not only for the wonderful things he's done for this nation, but for specifically exposing this systemic corruption that we have been talking about for so long, that I have been talking about for much longer than it's been here with you guys on YouTube. In my opinion, this is without a doubt the single greatest moment in our nation's history, because I have watched it go downhill for so many years. I have witnessed with my own eyes how these people don't care. They have little care for what their comments and their actions do to the American people and to the safety, the security, the respectability of our nation. We have stood alone all these years, and now we have someone in Washington who will stand beside us. And when they asked him, did Russia help you get elected? Are you kidding me? No, he shot back. He said, you know who got me elected? I got me elected. That's right. Donald Trump didn't do it with anybody else. He went out there and he stumped in every single state multiple times. And now, once he was elected, he stood against the mainstream media, the lying liars who sit there on a daily basis and pump garbage out onto the airwaves, telling lie after lie after lie, fake, phony, false information, all for a narrative to get themselves back into power. They are so incredibly frightened by Donald Trump because of what I just said. He's the only person, he's the only president before him and hopefully not after him, but until this point, who has given a rat's behind about this country. What a hoax. The Russia collusion delusion. All for a buck. These people want to keep themselves enriched and ingratiated amongst each other. They answer to each other. They do not answer to the American people. But you know what? We put you there, lawmakers. We put you there, congressmen. We put you there by the good grace of our trust and our faith in this republic. And now Donald Trump is exposing it all. I think that after this point, we are not going to be willing to settle for these types of scum-sucking liars. I see a new era in this country. I see from this point forward, Donald Trump setting the precedent for what a real leader is, who a real leader is, what they are meant to do. They are meant to represent our country, not only here, but abroad. They are meant to represent the interests of our nation and our people, and they are meant to do what is right for the country that they represent. This has been a disgusting display day after day from these people. I cannot wait to see it finalized. I cannot wait to see vindication of our president finally take cohesive form amongst the minds of all Americans, not just us, my friends, not just the people watching this program, not just the people who have woken up to the sham that has become America. We are taking our country back, and it's no longer going to be the status quo for us to have to deal with these lying leaders, these fake Americans, these phony patriots. You and I know exactly what I'm talking about, and soon enough, the country will catch up. Donald Trump will go down in history as the greatest president to ever live. Thank you, sir, for taking us out of these dark times and into the light. Now, here I have a tweet from my friend and fellow researcher, Sharp Edge. President Trump did touch in that brief presser this morning on the White House lawn on the fact that Robert Mueller should never have been the special counsel. Right around the time of the presser, he tweeted out that Robert Mueller came to the Oval Office along with other potential candidates seeking to be named the director of the FBI. He had already been in the position for 12 years. I told him no. The next day, he was named special counsel, a total conflict of interest. Nice. Now, looking back on October 31st, 2017, remember, why did Mueller meet POTUS one day prior to the FBI announcement if Mueller could not be offered the director due to previous term limits rule? So this is a nice, interesting little proof here. We were told this before, and now the president is saying it outright. Good stuff. Thank you very much for that, Edge. Now, from another brother and fellow researcher, the Jussie Smollett documents have been released. Thank you, Methods. This is about transparency and trust in the system, and we believe the public has a right to know what the government did and why. So let's go ahead and take a look at this article from Fox News 32 in Chicago. Chicago police release hundreds of pages of documents related to the Smollett investigation. It's going to take quite some time to go through all of these documents. Police released hundreds of pages of documents Thursday pertaining to the Jussie Smollett investigation and his alleged hate crime hoax attack in Chicago. The documents were released Thursday, a week after Cook County Circuit Judge ordered the unsealing of those documents. Got 3 tranches of documents right here. In his order for the file to be unsealed, Judge Stephen Watkins said Smollett's actions before and after his case was dismissed did not appear to be those of someone seeking to maintain his privacy. Smollett's lawyers had argued that since the charges were dropped, the actor had the right to be left alone. Watkins' decision, which followed requests by Fox 32 and other media organizations to make the file public, said there were good arguments for keeping the file sealed, but that Smollett forfeited his right to protect his privacy by talking to the media. The actor had been charged with 16 counts, alleging he lied to police when telling them that the 2 masked men beat him in January in downtown Chicago, shouted slurs at him, doused him with a chemical substance, and looped a rope around his neck. Police still insist Smollett, who is gay and black, staged the attack because he was unhappy with his salary on the Fox TV show and wanted publicity. Some people insist that no publicity is bad publicity. Prosecutors dismissed all charges, though, with little explanation on March 26th. The judge on Thursday wrote that Smollett voluntarily appeared on a national television interview, speaking about the incident in detail. After the March 26th dismissal, he voluntarily stood in front of the cameras from numerous news organizations in the courthouse lobby and spoke about the case. On several occasions, attorney for the defendant, presumably with his authorization, appeared on various media outlets speaking out about the case. Does not appear to be the actions of a man who wants to remain anonymous. The judge himself stated that these are not the actions of a person seeking to maintain his privacy or simply be left alone. Natalie Spears, an attorney representing media organizations that wanted the file unsealed, applauded Watkins' decision. This is about transparency and trust in the system, and we believe the public has a right to know what the government did and why, she said Thursday after the hearing. Now, one more story I'm going to touch on briefly. This man right here has been charged with 11 more felony counts. It seems that every time I do a video and I say this man's name and focus on the story, YouTube restricts the video quite a bit. So I'm just going to touch on it, let you guys know that this is good news. He is facing, looks like about 30 years in prison all told on these, on all of these counts together. So hopefully in the future we will be following up because it looks like there's going to be a big show trial. Now next, Bill Barr is speaking out on the Mueller announcement from yesterday. He said he could have reached a decision on Trump and obstruction in the Russia probe. Attorney General William Barr gave an interview to Jan Crawford with CBS This Morning in Alaska on Thursday that is set to air on Friday. CBS posted excerpts Thursday afternoon in which Barr said he thought special counsel Robert Mueller could have reached a decision on President Trump and obstruction of justice in the Russian collusion investigation, but was not going to argue about Mueller's reasons for not doing so. I personally felt he could have reached a decision, right. He could have reached a conclusion. The opinion says you cannot indict a president while he's in office, but he could have reached a decision as to whether it was criminal activity. But he had his reasons for not doing it, which he explained, and I'm not going to, argue about those reasons. Barr also defended his actions as Attorney General, saying he is going to make the decisions based on the law and the facts, and I realize that's in tension with the political climate we live in because people are more interested in getting their way politically. Very, very true. Barr also made a veiled criticism of Mueller. The Department of Justice doesn't use our powers of investigating crimes as an adjunct to Congress. Burn. CBS posted 2 clips from the interview.
We saw the special counsel yesterday make that statement. He analyzed 11 instances where there were possible obstruction. and then said that he really couldn't make a decision. Do you agree with that interpretation?
I personally felt he could have reached a decision.
In your view, he could have reached a conclusion.
Right, he could have reached a conclusion. The opinion says you cannot indict a president while he's in office, but he could have reached a decision as to whether it was criminal activity. But he had his reasons for not doing it, which he explained, and I'm not going to, argue about those reasons. But when he didn't make a decision, the Deputy Attorney General, Rod Rosenstein, and I felt it was necessary for us, as the heads of the department, to reach that decision.
Well, I mean, he seemed to suggest yesterday that there was another venue for this, and that was Congress.
Well, I'm not sure what he was suggesting, but the Department of Justice doesn't use our powers of investigating crimes as an adjunct to Congress.
When you see some of the criticism, and you've gotten quite a bit of it, that you're protecting the president, that you're enabling the president, what's your response to that?
Well, we live in a hyper-partisan age where people no longer really pay attention to the substance of what's said, but as to who says it and what side they're on and what its political ramifications are. The Department of Justice is all about the law and the facts and the substance, and I'm going to make the decisions based on the law and the facts, and I realize that's in tension with the political climate we live in because people are more interested in getting their way politically. So I think it just goes with the territory of being Attorney General in a hyper-partisan period of time.
Yeah, I tend to agree with Attorney General Barr. Mueller definitely could have made a decision despite those DOJ rules saying that a president could not be indicted while sitting. He didn't do it on purpose. Now, whether that was for his own motivations to help the Democrats or whether that was because he was urged to, perhaps at the behest of President Trump, to set a trap, as I speculated yesterday, that's all going to play out, and we're going to have to find out here what's going on. I think in the end, as I stated in yesterday's video, this will be a good thing. Whether or not the Democrats can get impeachment through the House, it will not make it through the Senate. Absolutely not. And it doesn't really matter to me what the Democrats in the mainstream media say. They will constantly continue to attack President Trump, whether he gets impeached or not. They will, if they don't impeach him, and it just continues on, the talk will just remain about impeachment. If it is allowed to go through and it passes the House and then it fails in the Senate, it will be a failed impeachment. And still, it will garner immense support amongst Trump's base. People like you and I, we will just be enraged by these partisan attacks. And President Trump is going to win in 2020. So don't fret, my friends and listeners. Everything is going to work out. It may not be exactly a smooth and easy process, but in the end, President Trump will prevail. Now, on that subject of impeachment, Speaker Pelosi is beating those drums. She said that many Democrats and their constituents want to impeach President Trump. I think we know that's true. It's nothing new. She delivered these remarks Wednesday afternoon following Mueller's pathetic press conference. Pelosi floated the impeachment idea in a statement earlier Wednesday and continued to escalate her anti-Trump rhetoric in remarks to a liberal audience. Many constituents want to impeach the president, but we want to do what is right and what gets results. What gets results? What gets results? Impeach President Trump for what? Winning the 2016 election in an electoral landslide against crooked Hillary Clinton? Yup. The case has to be very compelling to the American people, Pelosi said, i.e., will it help us get someone elected in 2020? Well, I don't think it will. I think it's definitely compelling amongst the fringe, super left-wing base that they have, which is a very small percentage, and perhaps all of the mainstream media. But it's not going to work, Nancy. Pelosi then cited the articles of impeachment against former President Richard Nixon as her selling point that it may take a while to build a case against Trump. And they have been trying. It was a Democratic House and a Democratic Senate, Pelosi said of Nixon, lamenting the fact that Republicans now control the Senate. We have a different scenario now, so the case has to be very compelling to the American people. We are legislating. No, they're not. We are investigating, and we are litigating. They're definitely doing those, Pelosi said, setting the stage for a push for impeachment in the future. Mueller's abusive presser today, where he was too much of a coward to even take any questions, was meant to be chum in the water for rabid Democrats desperately trying to sell the public on impeachment. The Democrats and their stenographers in the media will continue to sell the public that Trump committed crimes and therefore should be impeached. So far, no one has been able to actually name a crime that Trump has committed because there hasn't been a single crime. Let's go ahead and take a listen to Sloppy Nancy.
Proud of our House Democrats. They've been very, shall we say, conscientious about how they've reached their decisions, and I think it's like 35 of them out of 238, or maybe it's 38 of them out of 238 have said that they wanted to be outspoken on impeachment, and many of them are reflecting their views as well as those of their constituents. Many constituents want to impeach the president. But we want to do what is right and what gets results. What gets results. And we have to remember, so yes, there are some, and the press makes more of a fuss about the 38 than the 200, who are over half of the Congress, after half of the Democrats in the House sit on one of these 6 committees. So they're all on a path of finding more information. Just to recall, many of you were not born then, but during the what would not become impeachment, but the impeachment investigation of Richard Nixon, it took months and months of a Senate committee that was solely dedicated to researching impeachment before they then decided to have articles of impeachment come from the House, which were never executed because the House and Senate agreed. It was a Democratic House and a Democratic Senate. We have a different scenario now. So the case has to be very compelling to the American people. So we are legislating, and we wish the press would cover more of that. Thank you, Gloria, for pointing out some of the bills that we have passed and sent to the Senate about gun safety, women's right, equal pay for equal work, Violence Against Women Act, gun safety, the list goes on, climate action now, the list goes on. But in any event, we're legislating, we're investigating, and we are litigating. And we're going to, as we go down the path, make a decision based on the strongest possible case to get the best results for the American people. And the action taken by the special counsel today, I commend him for the work that they did to present the facts. Now, we have to get it unredacted for the public, but nonetheless, and for the Congress, by the way. They'll say to me, we'll show you, and I say, that's not it. We want the American people to know. But you're going to show me, and then I'm bound by classified rules of the House not to tell anybody? No, I don't think so. I don't think so. But in any event, I think that, everybody wants justice. Everybody wants the president to be held accountable in the most serious way. And everybody believes, I'm talking on the Democratic side, that no one is above the law, especially the President of the United States.
Well, no one is above the law, Nancy. That's definitely true. And that stands for you and your Democratic colleagues as well. But the thing is, with the president, you have to have committed a crime to be held accountable for something. What you're trying to do is to remove him because he won. You are jealous that you and your cronies lost. You are upset that your agenda is not on center stage now in America. The American people's agenda is now center stage. And this is not going to stand. You know what we, the people, want to see? We want to see you and your coup plotters held accountable, because those are the ones that broke the law. Those are the ones who committed treason. Those are the ones who are guilty of sedition, of trying to remove a democratically elected leader of this great republic. Donald Trump, the best president we have ever had. It's amazing what she can do when she doesn't drink before noon. All right, next, we have a thread from my friend and fellow researcher, Jesse James. Now, we know that the OIG report was released yesterday, just after the Mueller presser. But it was out of order. It wasn't the order that we were told it was going to be. But Jesse's got some interesting thoughts on that, so I wanted to share it. So it begins: moves, counter-moves, and misinformation. Optics are important. Trust the plan. We are witnessing an amazing plan come together. Sometimes things are not as they seem. Disinfo is necessary because it's important to never reveal your plan to the enemy. Now, this is pulled from a post here. While we had a Senate majority on paper, in reality, we never did, nor could we count on bringing investigations to that body until it was safely in our full control. The Senate was always the primary objective. Moves and counter-moves. Let's take a look at back when our favorite Anon told us to listen to Joe DeGenova on Fox News talking about the incoming Comey report, expected 2 weeks from when DeGenova reported, but still no Comey report. Our favorite Anon endorsed what DeGenova was reporting and told Anons to listen carefully. They had previously alluded that the Comey report would come before the OIG report and FISA D-class, which was consistent with what DeGenova reported. D-class pre- or post-IG report. Comey pre- or post-IG report. C comes before D. We got to witness 2 weeks of panic from Comey and others because DeGenova had successfully ruffled some feathers with disinformation. The classic fake-out made for a very entertaining show. Our favorite Anon and DeGenova played them like fools. Food for thought. Our 17 team using Joe DeGenova as disinfo bait to troll the deep state? This is optics. This is political theater. Here's a reminder. Trust Sessions. Trust Wray. Trust Kansas. Trust Horowitz. Trust Huber. Ask yourself, why is Joe DeGenova going on the media calling Christopher Wray an empty suit? Why is Joe DeGenova going on the media and saying that the Huber investigation is a farce and never even started? The team is running an elaborate psyops on the deep state. This puts the deep state into a panic and a state of uncertainty. This is now obvious for all to see. Hashtag panic in DC. Fishing is fun. These people are stupid. Bite, bite, nibble, nibble. Disinfo is real. Disinfo is necessary. Optics are important. Consider this. Our favorite Anon has told us that the public will learn that the DOJ and FBI have been actively working behind the scenes in one of the largest criminal investigations in modern-day history. Transparency is the only way forward. Empty suits? I don't think so. The idea of a sting op is that they will not see it coming and they will not know where to look, but mostly the idea of a sting op is to make it sting. The nature of the enemy is such that our favorite Anon and the team best not miss. Timing is everything. Wait for the booms. Nothing can stop what is coming. Thank you, Jesse. So Jesse gives us a refrain of many of the topics that we've talked about here on the program today. In the past. Optics are everything, and disinformation is necessary, and we will never broadcast our moves. Every time something is released like this from our favorite Anon, the deep state goes crazy. What have we had? James Comey fighting with Jim Clapper, fighting with John Brennan, everyone backstabbing each other, blaming each other, saying it was the other one. Jim Comey writing an op-ed for the Washington Post the day before everything gets released from the OIG. Probably he thought that what was coming out was the report about him. So I think that Jesse is right on with this thread, and I hope that you guys go and give him a follow because Jesse on you, mate. He's a good guy. Now, more fake news from the Wall Street Journal. Both the Navy and President Trump are refuting claims that the White House wanted the USS No Name out of sight during the president's Japan trip, and Meghan McCain spouts off. Wall Street Journal on Wednesday reported that the Trump White House ordered the U.S. Navy to keep the USS No Name out of view during President Trump's trip to Japan. And this was reported by Amanda Macias. This is from apparently two sources confirming to CNBC that this email showing coordinated efforts to put the USS No Name out of sight. Yeah, it looks like they have an email here saying that they wanted it hidden when the president visited Japan. The Journal said they reviewed an email from the U.S. Indo-Pacific Command that made the request. The White House wanted the U.S. Navy to move out of sight the warship USS No Name ahead of President Trump's visit to Japan, according to an email reviewed by the Wall Street Journal. The ship was named after the father and grandfather of the late senator, a war hero who became a frequent target of Mr. Trump's ire. Look at that, not even calling him President Trump. And the senator's name was added to the ship in 2018. In a May 15th email to U.S. Navy and Air Force officials, a U.S. Indo-Pacific Command official outlined plans for the president's arrival that he said had resulted from conversations between the White House Military Office and the 7th Fleet of the U.S. Navy, in addition to instructions for the proper landing areas for helicopters in preparation for the USS Wasp, where the president was scheduled to speak. The official issued a third directive: USS No Name needs to be out of sight. Following the report tonight, the U.S. Navy and President Trump denied the reports. Right here from Navy Chief of Information, the name of USS No Name was not obscured during the POTUS visit to Yokosuka on Memorial Day. The Navy is proud of that ship, its crew, its namesake, and its heritage. President Trump said he was not informed about anything having to do with the USS No Name. I was not informed about anything having to do with the Navy ship USS No Name during my recent visit to Japan. Nevertheless, FLOTUS and I loved being with our great military men and women. What a spectacular job they do. And the Washington Post tonight said the request was made, but Trump wasn't in on it. Admin officials confirm Wall Street Journal story. A request was made to make sure No Name ship wasn't visible. Aides say Trump wasn't involved in the request, but it was made to prevent any potential ire from POTUS. More to come. Anti-Trumper Meghan McCain was quick to trash the president following the bogus reports. Meghan, always quick to jump on this argument here. Trump is a child who will always be deeply threatened by the greatness of my dad's incredible life. There is a lot of criticism of how much I speak about my dad, but 9 months since he passed, Trump won't let him RIP, so I have to stand up for him. It makes my grief unbearable. I'm sorry for your loss, Meghan, but I think that every time you get an opportunity to speak out on this issue, it gives you press coverage from your friends in the mainstream media, the stenographers of the Democratic Party. So I think that this is a big, bogus story. Looks like an opportunity for the Wall Street Journal, the Washington Post, their cronies at CNBC to try and defame our president once again. I seriously have major doubts that President Trump would even be involved in something like this, and it probably, if it was even done, it was done by someone maybe looking to defame the president in the ranks of the armed forces. And finally tonight, friends, we have an article about the liberal utopia that is Los Angeles. Apparently, LAPD officers are getting diagnosed with typhus, and that's stemming from mountains of rotting, rat-infested trash in the streets. The mountains of rotting, rat-infested trash has piled sky high in the liberal utopia of Los Angeles, despite millions of dollars allocated for cleanup and prevention. In October, LA Mayor Garcetti promised to clean up the heaps of rat-infested trash piling up around Los Angeles to help combat the typhus epidemic. Even though the mayor allocated millions of dollars to help clean up the streets in LA, especially Skid Row, known as the Typhus Zone, there are still mountains of trash everywhere, and the infectious disease is worsening. Several months ago, the large piles of trash were cleared out, but the problem is back and much worse than before. Last fall, typhus began spreading across the homeless population through fleas that live on the rats that rummage through the trash, and Liz Greenwood, the deputy city attorney who works at City Hall, contracted the disease. Symptoms of typhus include fever, headache, and a rash, and untreated cases are fatal. Now, law enforcement officers in Los Angeles have also been diagnosed with typhus. An officer at the LA Police Department Central Station has contracted Salmonella typhi, the bacteria that causes typhoid fever, and another is suspected of contracting typhus, a disease carried by rats and fleas, the LAPD told the I-Team Wednesday. A spokesman for the LAPD confirmed to the I-Team that an officer stationed at Central Division has typhus-like symptoms, but has not yet been diagnosed with the disease. Typhus can be spread by infected fleas that live on rats that have been linked to growing homeless encampments. Heaps of trash, rats, typhus, exploding homeless population, and tent cities. Isn't liberalism grand? Let's go ahead and take a look at the devastation in Los Angeles.
Huge rats crawling all over rotting garbage. It's a breeding ground for disease and fleas carrying typhus. Now, the rats are living in mountains of trash left uncollected for weeks, even months. The mayor has promised to clean it up. But I-Team investigator Joel Grover found the city continues to ignore the growing garbage heaps, and that puts all of us at risk.
You're getting a bird's eye view of LA's most notorious trash pile. It's in downtown on Ceres Avenue, right between the fashion and produce districts. Day and night, this spot and countless others are magnets for rats that could carry fleas infected with typhus and other diseases.
I am so scared.
Estella Lopez represents business owners who've complained to the city about the Ceres Avenue trash pile and others like it.
I can't walk down the street without thinking that a flea could jump on me.
This national survey now ranks LA as the second most rat-infested city in the nation. One reason experts say, heaps of uncollected trash at hundreds of homeless encampments, where people are literally living in piles of garbage, like outside this supermarket and inside that mountain of filth on Ceres Avenue. This is a breeding ground for typhus.
I'm disgusted by it personally.
We first told Mayor Garcetti about that Ceres Avenue health hazard last October.
Our responsibility is to make sure the trash doesn't even accumulate in the first place. That shouldn't have happened, and we're going to make sure it doesn't.
Right after that interview, the city did clear away the trash here. But month after month since then, we've been watching, and the filth has been piling up once again.
I want to report a huge trash pile at 800 Ceres Street.
And even a call to 311.
Hello, this is Mayor Eric Garcetti.
Couldn't get the city to act fast.
You're saying it could take up to 90 days to clean it up?
An inefficient system for collecting rotting garbage. And the I-Team has learned the city has no program to control the growing rat population that feasts on all that trash.
Yep.
Other big cities like New York and Washington have entire teams devoted to rat control. This DC crew is even experimenting with bait stations laced with a new rat contraceptive.
The traditional methods that we use doesn't work, so we need something else.
We have so many rats.
Pepe Garcia of LA's Sanitation Bureau.
Shouldn't the city be doing some kind of rodent control?
It's something that we'll look into.
But some say there's no time to waste, like UCLA infectious disease doctor Jeffrey Klausner, who says LA's trash and rat problem ranks right up there with the worst slums he's seen in the third world.
Trash and food waste attracts rats.
Klausner warns that rats spread not only typhus, but also dangerous strains of salmonella and even bubonic plague.
I am so worried.
Worried because rats carrying typhus-infected fleas were found around LA last fall, according to health department emails obtained by the I-Team. The I-Team has learned that fleas found on some animals at LA's North Central shelter tested positive for typhus. As the summer flea season looms and the garbage heaps grow, so does concern that an even bigger disease outbreak could hit LA in the months ahead.
This is serious. People get very violently sick. This is unacceptable.
We asked Mayor Garcetti to speak with us about that trash pile on Ceres Avenue and about the growing epidemic threat, but he declined to sit down with us. His spokesman told us we could find him at a public event, and we plan to do just that.
Can you guys believe that this is a city in America? That looks like the worst slums of Calcutta. It is absolutely mind-boggling to think that we have a modern-day American city that cannot do the simplest things like set up a program to catch and kill rodents or to remove trash from the streets. This is what happens when you have a liberal government in a large American city. California, Los Angeles, these places are not places that you want to find yourself having to live. This is why people are leaving California in droves. I just want to tell you guys a quick statistic that was sent to me by a viewer. They work for a large moving company. They know how many people are trying to move out of California. And as a result, they are charging people a ridiculous amount of money to do that. So let's say that you're a conservative American who has had enough. You're fed up. You want to leave California. You want to move to a state like, say, Montana. If you were to move from California to Montana, the cost to do so would be close to $5,000. For the exact same move from Montana to California, it's only $800. This is a huge problem. This looks to me like business taking advantage of people because they know that they can charge them whatever they want to move them out of a dangerous place like Los Angeles. This is definitely not the kind of thing that we need to be doing. And if you're a business owner in a similar position, then I urge you to think about what you're doing. The market will bear what the market will bear, but something like that, that's price gouging. That is not fair. And I pray every day for the people that have to live in these places. I know that I have viewers that live in California and live in other similar Democratic strongholds. So perhaps, guys, if you are in a place like this, maybe it's time for us to do something. Maybe it's time for us to take action because the government is certainly not doing it. All right, guys, I want to thank everyone for joining me. As always, this has been Red Pill 78. I am the Corruption Detector, and this was your Red Pill News. Good luck, everyone, and God bless.